Whitechalk. I mean, you're one of like the top upper echelon like event planners, wedding planners in the country. How did that come from?
When I was growing up, for me, that's how I started creativity, by scribbling with the chalk on the board, on a slate. And the whole idea of Whitechalk is supposed to be a creative company where we create from nothing, being in planning, design, decor. I've seen how hunger feels like. I have seen or have known how it is to want. I remember when I was in Mfantsipim school, I would go sell my clothing. And I remember days where from school I will sell kerosene. I've done kerosene before, sweets. And so I've just known that I like business. My first job was for Cleaver House.
Okay.
They had Ridge. And then I was fired. I was fired after some months.
How are you fired? The landscape you are, weddings happen almost every week, every weekend, almost every somewhere. Somebody's getting married somewhere. There are events all over, like you said, it's a big market. And there are other players in the market. Like, what do you think sets Whitechalk apart?
I think you're authentic. I'm a non-conformist. I don't do what everybody's doing. I think it's boring.
Where are weddings with hello community. Thanks for showing up again. So I just had a conversation with Bryan Tachie-Menson. He's the CEO for Whitechalk Global. They are the forefront of event planning and organization in this country. They are more or less like a household name. Interestingly, prior to this conversation, and I really didn't know about them, but for some reason, everyone in my circle knew about them. And so I hope anyone who's like me or like my friends enjoys the conversation and finds great insight. I enjoyed the conversation and I hope you do too. And like the mantra goes, don't forget to just build something. Interesting. Like I was saying, I'm coming at you with a lot of keen curiosity. Because I mean, when Clenham told me about the prospect of talking to you, Clenham works in that regard. He's a photographer here. He runs a photography, videography outfit. And so he's exposed to the market. And so he was like, oh, they're just very renowned event organizer, weddings. Think about the events they have there. You should talk to them. He mentions the name. He mentions your name. He sends me links to look at. I'm like, why don't I know this person? And then I ask my friends, the people in my circle, and like almost everybody knew about.
Have we started? Have we started?
Yes, we've actually started.
Oh wow!
I don't want you to switch. I don't like when people switch. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, almost everybody in my circle of friends knew about you and then what your outfit is about. And so, thanks for making the time.
Thank you.
And I really have a lot of questions to ask.
Thank you, Bill. And the team. Yeah.
Okay. So, Bryan, Whitechalk, what are you guys about? I mean, I've already given an overview. What's Whitechalk about?
So, Whitechalk Global is an event company in Accra, Ghana. We do destination weddings. We do corporate events. We do planning. We do coordination. We do design. We do decor. So it's like a 360, event company based in Accra, Ghana. Yeah.
Why the name Whitechalk?
So
let me take a guess. Is it like about how when people are planning something, you can grab the board, take a white chalk, and do the planning on it or something?
So when I was looking for I think about 12 years ago, when I was looking for the name for the company, of course I prayed about it. I come from a very spiritual, spiritual background family. And one time a little boy in my house came back from school. He had a slate and a chalk. He was scribbling. And I said, oh, wow. And the name just dropped in my heart, in my spirit. And I said, okay, that is the name we are going to use for the company, go with. But I called a few friends. That really mattered. I called and asked, what do you think of the name Whitechalk? Some said yes, some said no. then I knew that was the name for the company. And when I was growing up, for me, that's how I started creativity, by scribbling with a chalk on a board, on a slate. And the whole idea of Whitechalk is supposed to be a creative company where we create from nothing, being in planning, design, decor. So I thought that it was a perfect name for the company. And I mean, it stayed, it stayed, and it's doing well.
It's nice. It has an oomph to it.
I know.
Yeah. So I think now that you touched on the fact that growing up, beginning of your creative journey, where were you raised? Were you raised here in Ghana?
I was raised in Ghana. I lived. So when I became aware of my surroundings, it was just me and my mom.
Okay.
And so no dad then. It was just me and my mom. And so it was from La Paz to Fadama, Alaji, Tabora,
Why are you moving around so much? Your mom is please one or something?
No, because she was a single mother too, and she was working. Sometimes during vacation, I had to live with friends, family, and so I moved a lot. Mamprobi, Odoko, I moved North Carnation, I moved a lot. And so I grew up in different houses, different settings, and so forth and so on. Yeah.
How did that affect you? And now, the man you are now, what principles or values would you attribute to that kind of upbringing, growing up in different households, and being with different people, a single mother? What were the things that have made you who you are, that come from that kind of experience?
I think that growing up from these settings also shaped me, or has shaped me one way or the other to become who I am now. I don't know what I would have been if I didn't grow up that way, but I believe in God, and I know that God orders our steps, And my mom is also a prayerful woman. She's very spiritual, so she believes that everything that we do, or everything that she does, she asks God first. Okay, I think that for me, this kind of growing up from here, listening to this person, staying with this person, shaped me to be who I am today, and it exposed me to different kind of things, different kind of situations. And so there are some traits I have that I know that it was because of what I saw.
Like,
I might be kind. I might be very empathetic because maybe I've known or I've seen how hunger feels like. I have seen or have known how it is to want. Yeah. And so when I see somebody in need, my heart goes out to the person. Yeah. And so I'm thankful for that. Yeah. I'm thankful for the way I grew up. But if I was supposed to have ordered my own, channeled my own future, I wouldn't have liked that. I would have liked to grow up in a normal home setting with a father and a dad, alone with them, and and all that.
Interesting. I know you went to Mfantsipim school. I went to Mfantsipim school. Before Mfantsipim, where did you go to school?
I did Cosmos. I did my junior high, and junior high, primary. It was a family school. My uncles went there, my aunties went there. Cosmos Basic School. Okay. I think it is still very popular. La Paz. That is where I did, and then from there I went to Mfantsipim school.
Okay. Which year was this?
2000 and completion. You mean?
Yes.
I think 2004.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. 2004.
And
then to University of Ghana.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to University of Ghana. I was in drama school, School of Performing Arts, also for I think another 4 years. Yeah.
All right. So before Whitechalk, did you know with a certain level of certainty that you were going to be a businessman?
Yeah, I did know because I've always I like money, for starters, and I remember I also come from a family where everybody plays a role. The auntie has given me money for school before. an uncle has bought a shoe for you. So everybody has to say in your life, whatever you do. So they're like, hey, Fafa, you like money too much and that. And so because of that, I started doing business. I remember when I was in Mfantsipim school, I would go sell my clothing. And I remember days where from school I will sell kerosene. I've done kerosene before, sweets. And so I've just known that I like business. You know, I like business. And
Do you think that interest came out of necessity? Right, there's this thing David Rubenstein says a lot. He's like, when you grow up in certain conditions, you naturally develop a certain proclivity. It's like you are in an environment of want, scarcity. And so you tend to, especially when you're a young person, you tend to grow up very early, have a certain sense of responsibility and want to fend for yourself. Do you think, would you
well, I've not
find that common ground?
Well, I've not thought about it that way before because growing up I was comfortable.
Oh.
I was being fed well. I had nice clothing, but I just always wanted extra money to do extra things, you know, because I like the pretty things of life. And so I always wanted to buy, even though I had a sneaker that was in good shape, I want to buy more sneakers. Not to show off, but I like that. You know, even though I had a shirt, I would want more shirts. So it wasn't out of scarcity, but it was out of the fact that I like beautiful things. I want to have more. You know, I want to be more. That's why I was doing all that. Yeah, I had to support the family, but it wasn't out of compulsion. It was out of, I wanted to do it to help, you know.
You talking about how you like nice things, beautiful things, going extra is interesting because with the little I've gathered about Whitechalk, that's what the organization is.
Yeah.
Nice things. Let's go extra for our clients. Let's do.
Yeah.
How did Whitechalk start?
So I've always liked to organize, put things together in the family. When there's a party, I'm the one they call. okay, Fafa, there's a party. Help us, you know, put things together.
Okay,
that's my name actually. Help us organize. Friends will call me and so forth and so on. And so I remember, and my mom, as I said, very prayerful. She told me that, listen, young man, you do your own business. Because she saw it in prayer, she saw it in dreams and all that. So I've always known that I'll do my own thing. And so
did you work for any organization before?
I did. So I worked for a company called, my first job was for Cleaver House.
Okay.
They had Ridge. And then I was fired. After some months. Then I went to work for Crystal Park.
What were they about? They
also did events.
Oh, okay.
They also did events. And then I went to work for Crystal
Park. Why are you fired?
Park because I was not serious.
Charlie.
Because I was young and silly and, you know. And so I was fired after, I think, 6 months, and I found another job. And then when I was at Crystal Park, I felt it was time to move out because, number one, I wasn't earning much. I was doing more. My ideas were not listened to, and I had friends who constantly were recommending me to do side gigs, and I was earning much more. And so upon prayers and thoughts, I said, you know what? I think it's time to move out. My then ex-girlfriend gave me my first gig, and that was how, you know, I said, you know what? It's time to start Whitechalk. So I just moved out.
Oh, okay.
And
so
started.
I think so you're forced out because one, you were not earning more, and two, there was demand on your personal scale. Which year was this?
This was 12 years ago. Yeah, this was 12 years ago.
Like 2013.
Yes, this was 12 years ago, and so that's how it started. And it was a good show. I remember that day so well.
The wedding.
It was a wedding. The client was from Paris. And the money was good, man. I made some good money, and after it kicked off, and we are here today.
How?
So after that job, I think during the time there wasn't Instagram, but there was Facebook.
Okay.
And so we posted a lot on Facebook. There was word of mouth. A lot of people also recommended. Had friends who recommend me. Remember, I told you that even before Whitechalk, when I was at Crystal Park, I was being recommended.
Yeah.
And so, after that job, there was another one. Someone called me to come and coordinate at Cape Coast, and it kept on.
Yeah.
So for me, it was word of mouth. Oh, he can do a good job. They are good, so use them. That was how it was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So 13 years. How many events so far?
A lot.
Can you play some?
Oh, a lot. We've done a lot. We've done a lot of. There are times I meet past couples, and I don't make them out. They're like, "Oh, you don't remember?" I'm like, "Okay, you don't remember?" I remember once I met one at the National Theatre. I was watching a production, and they kept staring and giggling. Okay, I'm sure there are people I've worked for, but I don't know. So when they closed, they were all excited too, but I couldn't remember. I just couldn't remember.
So that shows like the extent of the number of.
Yes, we've done a lot.
That's very interesting. So when you started, you said your ex-girlfriend at the time gave you first gig. So I'm sure she was like your other. Was she a partner?
But then she really helped me. I remember she really helped me. She would come on the job, help me. Actually, she introduced me to some giant companies then for me to go learn, because I just knew I liked planning. And things I didn't even know I would do weddings. I liked productions, like events, like musical productions, fashion shows, beauty pageants. I didn't know I would do weddings. So it just came. I just found it, and the money was good. Okay, the money is good. Why not? And so my girlfriend then introduced me to Decotalk. They were very popular then, and then Essence, they were doing fantastic.
To go and learn,
or to go and intern. So even though I was working, I'll go to Essence and talk to them, find out how they're arranging the flowers, how they are doing this. I'll go to Wendy of Decotalk and talk to her so much. Where is she getting these things from? So she actually was very instrumental in, building up the company,
Yeah, I gather that. You're one of like the top upper echelon like event planners, wedding planners in the country, and you do this thing called fairy tale wedding.
My fairy tale wedding. Yeah.
Where did that come from?
And so there was this program in Ghana called the Bliss Wedding. Now what they did was that they put vendors together to come and buy stands. It was like a fair. Okay, it was like a wedding fair. But I think the day before the fair or after the fair, they do like a mock-up wedding where all the vendors get to exhibit what they do in a real wedding. Okay. So they use already married couple to do that. And so when they had an idea, and I told the organizer, why don't you make it like a real wedding? Because the food we eat is free, the venue is everything for the Bliss wedding was free. And I said, okay, why don't you rather look for a real couple or real people who can't afford the wedding? They said, oh, that is not the concept and all that. I said, okay, fine. I think I want to do this. This is the way I want to give back by doing free weddings for people who can't afford it. And it shouldn't be any kind of wedding. It should be like a luxurious wedding.
Oh.
So everything the couple will get, from their gown to the ring to the food to the venue, is free.
That's interesting.
So we started my fairy tale wedding about 5 years ago, and it was good. And and it's come to stay as well. So we do it like every 2 years.
Once every 2 years.
Once every 2 years, yeah.
Please, the day you're doing it, please let me know.
Next year, we are doing it next year actually. So that's how my.
So how do I enter?
Oh, so once the announcement is made online, tell us why you deserve a free wedding. So you come up with your story. We have judges who sit on the story, and the most needy story is picked.
I have a very needy story. When you announce it, I can't, please speak me. Anyway, so 13 years. I know you're also involved. Like you mentioned that you're interested in production and stuff. So you set up another venture called Magic House.
The Magic House, yes.
Would you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the Magic House is also into productions like conferences, stage plays, managing artists and so forth and so on. Actually, we have a conference coming up called the June Conversations, where we're calling all event professionals, business owners, or basically people who love event conversations. Come around and learn over fine dining. So it's not your normal conference where, but this
extra.
is this is going to happen over good food. 5 courses.
Please, can I get my invitation?
With nice conversations.
Okay.
So that's what Magic House is also into. Yeah.
Why have weddings become so expensive?
Whatever is put into weddings are expensive. For instance, if you are doing the designing bit of weddings, design and decor, then the element we use, the time, manpower, the creativity, because most of the things that we use for design are outsourced. Either outsourced or they are imported. You buy them from China, and we don't make most of the things here. So obviously, yeah, all the flowers, all the fake flowers that are used are not even produced here.
Wow.
So
it's like a huge opportunity for other people to tap into.
Yeah, but the wedding industry is very big, as you said, because you're not that is not the kind of things you're looking at. But weddings are very big in Ghana. They are, and of course the government also hasn't turned their eye to that. But then if they have, they will realize that it's an untouched market that they could really make a lot of money from, like the wedding industry. Telling you, because every weekend someone's getting married, either a wedding or a party or naming ceremony, birthday party, something is happening, So
throwing yourself into the uncertainty and building event after event after event to the extent that you don't even recall some of the people you work with, right? And being a household name, featuring on magazines and ranking on top CEOs and all of that, right? What are some of the bottlenecks you faced in your industry that you had to deal with, that you want us to be aware of?
Well, I tell people this all the time, but I think people don't really believe it. I've not really faced like very serious hurdles or challenges. I don't know why, or I don't know if I'm not seeing it as a challenge. But I think that for me, what I would say is that, as you know, before this, we're asking why our weddings were expensive and all that.
Yeah.
I told that because most of the things we use in Ghana, we don't make them, and so you have to order from China or America or the UK, and it can be quite expensive, getting these things. And then when you get to the port, it becomes it's another story.
Yeah.
I think for me that is the only challenge. It makes a
Third
bit
parties
tough.
involved.
It makes it a bit tough. And I also think that I've come to a point in the business where I think that I would like for the government to get involved, because thankfully I travel all over the world to speak and teach. And I realize that weddings are a big deal. When you go to India, it's a big deal. When you go to Dubai, it's a big deal. And they do what they call the familiar trip, where they pick international planners all over the world into a particular country for them to explore the country and then bring them business. And the government or the tourism board sponsors that. So they pay for your tickets, your visa, 5-star hotels and all that. It is a way of they showcasing what they have. And I think it's a very smart, it's a very smart idea. And so for me, I think that's one of our challenges, that the government is not involved. And I would love for that, because that will really ease a lot of pressure.
Have you considered, the fact that you mentioned that one of your challenges, the other subcontractors you work with in your vertical, have you considered probably taking on maybe it's in your future projections, taking on the responsibility or the business of saying, okay, well, I'm going to run this event organization, and I'm going to be the least reliant on third parties. So whether it's from decor and everything, it's in-house. Is that part of the plan?
I mean, that is the plan. Actually, that is the plan, because when you come to Whitechalk, we do it all. But for instance, the chairs we use, we don't make them. The flowers we do, we use, we don't make them. The lighting we use, the chandeliers we use, we don't make them. The stages we don't make them. You have to go buy them. You understand? And for me, I'll be excited if then there is a company who says, you know what, we are going to venture into production of chairs. What kind of chairs that you need? Maybe I should look at that. We want to produce chandeliers. We want to produce the flowers for you, and that will really make things easier, for a lot of event decorators. And I think one other challenge is education. A lot of people just finish school, and then they jump onto okay, I want to be an event planner, and they do it in-house. Yes, I didn't at the beginning of my career, because I think it was God given, it was talent. I was doing things anyhow, but then as you move on in life, you realize that you have to do it right. So you get educated. You talk to people. It can be formal or informal education. And for me, right, that's very important these days, because we also get the opportunity to speak to people across the globe. And so education is also another important thing that is lacking in the industry.
It's very, you see, speaking for myself and probably my circle of friends, one major bottleneck for most young people when it comes to getting married is the cost involved, right? Now, for some reason, everybody's exposed what's happening on social media. Everybody wants some sort of a nice wedding. But God, it's neck breaking when you hear some of the expense lines. I know you do my fairy tale wedding, free weddings every 2 years to help people. Is there any other thing? Probably like maybe flexible payment options, like all those things. The other things you guys are considering.
So, well, at Whitechalk, we don't have fixed rates. We don't say, oh, this is how much we're charging, and so that is it. Because everything we do is customized. You come to us, we speak. You talk to us, okay, what do you want? Because there are different items, elements we can use for you. There are chairs that cost as high as 70 cedis for one. There are tables that cost as high as 500 cedis for one. And there are chairs that cost as cheap as maybe 10 cedis, or 8 cedis. So it's all about communication, you understand? And so for us, when you come to us, let's talk, okay, you can even give us, okay, this is my budget. You understand? And we'll let you know what your budget can do for you. You understand? Yeah.
I really hope that now that I've made this connection with you. Okay. You mentioned that, what's it called? Moving into the future, right? If I could enter your mind now and have a view of the future of Whitechalk, what will I see? 5 years into the future, what will I see?
5 years into the future. I remember one time somebody asked me if I ever saw myself here. I ever saw myself, being on international stages and talking and all. And I said, yes, I did. Because I've always been a believer of when you're dream so that when you tell people, they don't believe you. And so the future is that Whitechalk is even a global brand already, but the future is that we will be a global name everywhere, doing the unimaginable, unthinkable. I tell people that for me, what is the next step? Okay, so we've done weddings over and over and over and over. I'm looking at we doing the Super Bowl. I'm looking at we doing the Grammys. If not even doing the entire thing, okay. We want there's an African theme to what we are doing now. We want you to come and produce it, or we want to come and do the design for us. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at working with like very, very big names who have made waves in the industry. You understand? So I'm looking at taking over the world.
Yeah.
That is the dream. Yes, that is the dream. That is something that I've been praying and hoping for.
There's an irony to your story as of now. The number one wedding planner, event planner, who is also you're not married. Is it that the weddings are too expensive for you yourself, or what's the conversation there?
The conversation is that I think that maybe the time is not still right, because I've tried a couple of times and it didn't work out. So I think that maybe the time is not right.
No pressure.
And for me, marriage is a big deal, and because I've seen a lot of people go in and come out so much. So I'm like, okay, I mean, young man, you got to be ready. And I also believe that we are different when it comes to marriage and maturity. Someone can be 20 years and they are matured for marriage. Someone can be 50 years and they are not matured for marriage. And so you have to be ready and matured for marriage before you get into it. But I think that maybe my time is not here yet. But if the time comes, I'll grab it.
So I have two things to ask you. I think they're one in the same. So you mentioned that you grew up in like a very spiritual, so to speak, very religious home. That's still at play in your life now.
It is. I mean, it's very pivotal in my life. I mean, of course, God is the center of everything that I do. And for me, I recognize that because of how I even came about as a human being. My mother had me when she was 16 years. I didn't even know she wanted to abort me. A pastor told me that, did you know your mother wanted to abort you? So I'm that kind of story. And so you should know that it's God at play. And my mother introduced me to God at a very younger age. One time, she and I were having a conversation, and I asked her, my brother was doing something. I'm like, how come my brother doesn't know A, B, C, D, E? He said, yes, because when I had you, I thought you were going to go wayward. I'm like, okay, young girl, I've had you. And so she put in her all.
Yeah.
So she even took me as far as women's fellowship. I'm there. Everywhere she's going, I'm there. Every church activity, I'm there. She's constantly reading the scriptures to me. She's constantly reading the Bible stories to me. And so she made me understand that, listen, I remember one time she told me that all I have for you is education and God. I have nothing more. And so for me, it's very important. God is very important to me. I mean, it's very important to me. And
talking about workers, what's the staff strength?
Come again. What's
talking
my staff strength like?
Yes.
We are quite a number. But then with what we do as we have a lot of casuals, people who come in
contract.
Yes, contract based, who come in and go out. But then because at Whitechalk we do planning, we do design, and we do coordination. So we have people who are just in the planning department. We have people who are just in the design and decor department. So you understand. And so quite give and take, maybe 15 people.
But how do you learn to manage these people on these different blockers? How did you do that? How do you learn to do that?
Because I knew that there'll be a time where, number one, I won't be available all throughout, and I would want to do other things. So I started giving responsibilities very early and teaching them. You understand? So we have somebody who is leading the planning and coordination team. We have somebody who's also leading the design and decor team. And as I said, I also believe in letting people lead. There are times that I know that my design is better than theirs, but I'll have them do their design so that they feel that, listen, the boss is listening to us. We are part of what is happening. It is not just me. It's us.
Team effort.
You understand? And I think that people like that when you give them responsibilities and when you show that you're trusting them. You understand? And so that's how it's been.
Interesting. Is there something you're afraid of? It's a very random question.
Yeah. I'm afraid if I'm not able to if I'm not able to do what I'm supposed to do, if I'm not able to, I believe that every human being has a purpose. There's a purpose why I was born. You as well. And so if that purpose is not fulfilled, that is what I'm afraid, that I'm not able to fulfill purpose. And so day in and day out, I'm striving to fulfill purpose. Now, do I know what my purpose is? Yes, I know what my purpose is. It's different if I didn't know. So now that I know what my purpose is, I'll be very hurt, or I'm scared if I'm not able to execute purpose in my life. That is what I'm afraid of.
I want to walk back on your journey with Whitechalk a little. Numerous events you've had. If you can, on the top of your head, which of the weddings or events readily comes to mind as the most memorable? What happened? Walk me through that.
Well, everything we have done, everything what we've done is beautiful, and I love all that.
Yes.
I can't pick
Just,
a particular.
What easily comes to it? Imagine you were 80 now, you've retired from this, and then your grandson has come to you and said, Grandpa, one event as of now that really sticks out to you, that is really memorable.
So one event that then I'll say it's an event that went sour.
Interesting.
The client was, there are clients that after you've taken the job and the money, you want to return everything because they are unbearable. Mm-hmm. Someone calls them clients from hell. I didn't say that. Someone said that. And so this particular client, I actually tried twice to refund the money because I didn't want to do the job again. And it wasn't just us, it was other vendors. They were like, Bryan, this client, we can't do their job for them. So everybody wanted to refund. But some way said, let's do this job. The job was in Kumasi, and there are clients who are constantly managing you. They're micromanaging everything that you're doing. They're there from start. And this was that kind of client. And so we started the setup in the hotel in Kumasi. And apparently he had a room. I didn't even know he had a room upstairs. And we had built the pergolas, we hung the chandeliers, everything was beautiful. And then somehow everything came crumbling down. Yes. I remember that day so well. Everything just came down, and I think he was upstairs, and so I just stood and I was just watching what was going on, but surprisingly enough, I wasn't afraid. I didn't what's the word? I didn't fear.
Yeah.
I didn't shake. I didn't move. And so he just came down and he said, "Oh, okay, Bryan, so what is going to happen now?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, you go." Because they were having the traditional ceremony engagement, what we call the engagement, in the girl's house. And they were going to come to the hotel where we were setting up for the reception. I said, "Okay, Bryan, you know what? As at this point, I'm just going to the ceremony. I hope you're able to fix this." And then I called the team and I'm like, "You know what? We have to start everything again." Everybody was in accordance. I called the carpenters because it was pergola we had built. I called the carpenters. We put everything together. And when he came back, he just came to hug me. He said, "Oh, Bryan, I love you." I'm like, "Wow, you saying this, doctor?" I forgot his doctor something. I'm like, "Wow." He was too happy. He was too happy. We built everything again. And he told the wife that, "Listen, I know what's happening." And I'm so, because he said when he told the wife that when the woman comes and sees that something has gone wrong, she should just be happy, because it looks like these guys are not having it today. But when he came, he was totally, blown away.
Things like this, that'll be a great customer experience, a great client experience for the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He tell you I love you.
Mm-hmm.
It brings me to the question of, the landscape you are, weddings happen almost every week, every weekend, almost somewhere, somebody's getting married somewhere. There are events all over, like you said, it's a big market. And there are other players in the market. Right? What do you think sets Whitechalk apart? Why have you taken the leap? Why are you at the front? Why are you front and center in everyone's mind?
I think we're authentic. I'm a non-conformist. I don't do what everybody's doing. I think it's boring. And so that is what sets us apart. I think as a brand or as a person, once you are yourself, people will just recognize that, oh, okay, there's something different about this guy. Everybody's wearing black, but he's wearing yellow. Why is he wearing yellow? Okay, let's go find out why he's wearing yellow. Now, when they come, then you impress them. You understand? In the industry, this everybody's doing what everybody's doing. When somebody's asking me, okay, Bryan, why are you always being called to the international market? And I said, because whatever you all doing, I mean, the guys who are also being called to international market, you are copying what they are doing. For instance, you are copying Gideon, you are copying Nadia, you are copying Wendy, you are copying Preston Bailey. And so they won't call it because they are already there. And then there's Bryan. He's different. He's not doing all what you're doing. So we want to bring him there. He's authentic. And so people, oh, these guys are authentic. These guys are doing something different, something creative. I think that's what sets us apart. Being authentic and being us.
I see. Have you had to raise capital?
Raise capital for my business?
Yes, for business.
So the kind of business I ran, for instance, when the clients gives me money to do the job for them. Okay. And so I had not really had to raise capital or go borrow money or go take money from the bank. Yeah, I think God being so good, I'm able to use what the client gives me, and I'm able to also make profit. So over the years, that's what we've done. We've never gone for a loan or gotten money from. No. It's what the client gives us. We're able to manage it properly, well, so much so that we get all that we need.
Thank you very much, Bryan.
Pleasure.
What has stuck out for me is all through this conversation is two things actually. You come off as a very nonchalant person. Like, it's not too deep, just cruise through life, but with a certain keen focus on higher things, God, and then dominion mandate. When you just mentioned that you look forward to hosting the Grammys or the Super Bowl, wow. And I really hope it plays out for you. I hope that when you're done hosting the Super Bowl, organizing the Super Bowl, I'll be the one you have a conversation with.
I will definitely.
Talk about the experience. Because I have no doubt in my mind I can work.
Yeah, it's very
and
possible.
How you mentioned that it's going to be an African-themed Grammy or something like that.
Yeah.
Thank God for people like you who are unashamedly aware of their potential as human beings, and more so like as Africans. You know how you're dressed and all that. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Pleasure. It was a good conversation.
Very good conversation.
Yeah.
Take care, Bryan.
Thank you.
Community, Accra, the world beyond. Yeah, had a good talk with Bryan of Whitechalk, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So, Idua.